Alright, quick little update on this interesting little Unity practice project that I introduced last week, which is in the theme of Five Nights at Freddy's, the first game. It's essentially a reimagining of that game for virtual reality. But you may notice right now, the first thing, I'm using this on a monitor. Yeah, that's right. When I get to the final stages of developing my game Interleave VR, I will have to not only support virtual reality but also monitors. So I figured it'd be cool to practice using multiple cameras in a project without having to do too much of the work twice. You know, one rig for VR and one rig for the monitors. And I actually even got fancy, because I figured if I was going to support monitors, I would also want to support my own 3D output. So I implemented half side-by-side and half over-under 3D. So if I press Shift 2, it goes half side-by-side. If I press Shift 3, it's going to go half over-under. And if I press Shift 1, it goes back to 2D. So I'm sort of using an orthographic camera that's looking at a bunch of textures that are projecting the views of external cameras. One rig for the monoscopic view that we're looking at right now, which is in 2D. One rig for the 3D view half side by side, and another one for the half over under. Of course, there's only two cameras, but there are various set of textures for the main camera to look at. Back to the 2D for a second here. One of the prices I had to pay for these pretty shadows all over the place that you've seen when I introduced this project, and that you can see here dancing around all over the tables, is that, well, I'm using the deferred lighting rendering mode in Unity, and that disables the use of multi-sample anti-aliasing. That's right, I lost the use of MSAA in my project. See, these are Unity limitations that I'm discovering along the way. They're kind of important to know, because then you gotta do extra work to make things look good. But fortunately, I already had an orthographic camera looking at texture pairs for the 3D, which I'm going to turn back on right now. And I do the same thing for the monoscopic view, so I figured I would just upsample these textures, apply a very light amount of FXAA on them, and then downsample them to 1080p. Now you might notice visually, well, I decorated the office a little bit. I added a bunch of stuff on the desk. I added a monitor. It's functional. We're gonna take a look at that in a moment. Alright, so before I go on with the mechanics, heads up, there are no jump scares yet. I'll go on about that. Because we got a lot of mechanics to go through. There's been a lot of work done since, and well, let's get started. First thing you might notice is there's background sound effects. There are background sounds. They're just really basic right now. I tried to make them creepy, but they're very basic, and I will try to play with the sound system, make it a little more dynamic, and make it match the animatronics movements. So we got our good old lights just like last time, with them nice shadows. Oh shit, and now we have doors. Now the problem is that we also have a power meter now, and you can see my power draining because of that goddamn door. And we also have, this is my latest addition, a camera system. I'm gonna open that door so I don't draw the power too quickly. Now let's open that camera system. This was really a surprising element in development. Why? Because I didn't have to do, it really wasn't that painstaking to get it working both with the monitor, even the stereoscopic monitor version, and the virtual reality version without having to do two versions. So this works actually really well in VR, and it works really well on monitors, even in 3D. So that's a big surprise. So all these actions here, you just stare, you press space, it does the action, and you press space again on the light switch to turn it off. So you do that for the lights, you can do that for the doors. And for the camera system, You press space when you stare at the monitor and it goes blue like that. Then you use your mouse and you click on the camera numbers to change. And then you press space again to dismiss the monitor. And in VR, you can actually move your head freely. You just won't see what's in front of you. Obviously, that's the intent. But it is comfortably far away from your face. It's not to the point where it feels point blank and up to your nose. It's actually got that comfortable distance and that ample size at the same time. I used some scaling effects for that. So I'm actually doing it on both mediums, on the monitors and on the VR, so it's working out pretty good. Oh, and there goes the power. You see, all the mechanics are in place for this to become creepy. Check it out. I even put a sort of glow, an afterglow, when the power goes out that sort of intensifies very slowly. And if you look carefully, oh, look, there's Bonnie's silhouette right there at my door. Oh, and Bonnie disappeared. Because my randomizer is still running. I'm sort of counting on the fact that the player can't quite make out the silhouettes, but sort of. So the movement is still happening, which means a jump scare could occur at this point. So really, I put aside Foxy and Golden Freddy, I can probably have at this point the 3 basic animatronics walking around and doing their jump scare. That's probably going to be next on my checklist, and of course a clock so the night can end at some point. Right now it never ends. So that's it. Pretty much the clock, the jump scares, and an option like a checkbox so that when I'm developing I can turn the jump scares off and save myself a whole bunch of heart attacks. And another thing I should do is not forget to uncheck that box when I start developing, not to cause myself an unexpected heart attack. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this. Taking a look at the VR version of this and the monitor version of this. I've already given Eincro a copy of an earlier build, and he's tried it out on his channel. So anyone who wants to try this, go ahead and drop me a word. That's it.